Hey everyone. We just discussed this morning that Pearl Harbor was attacked and by the Japanese, and so the U.S. declared war on Japan and has now had joined the Allies in fighting against the Axis powers. So at home, there were some repercussions to that as well, and that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss the Japanese internment camps. So Japanese Americans. Wherever you see something underlined, that's where what you're going to put in your notes today. So in 1941, most Japanese Americans lived on the West Coast. When World War II began, Americans feared that Japan might attack the West Coast and Japanese Americans would help them. A growing number of Americans began to direct their anger toward people of Japanese ancestry. In the days and weeks after Pearl Harbor, several newspapers declared Japanese Americans to be a security threat. And you see some propaganda on the right there. In February 1942, President Roosevelt signed an order that allowed the military to remove anyone that the government thought was a threat, and Japanese Americans were forced to leave their homes and move to internment camps around the country. This action came to be known as Japanese American internment. More than 110,000 men, women, and children were rounded up. They had to sell their homes and possessions and leave their jobs. These citizens were placed in internment camps, areas where they were kept under guard. In these camps, families lived in single rooms with little privacy. About 2/3 of the people sent to live in internment camps were Nisei, Japanese Americans born in the United States. Many Japanese Americans argued that internment for racial reasons was unconstitutional. The Supreme Court, however, upheld internment throughout the war. And here you can see most of the internment camps are on the West Coast. See where they're placed. The government felt that moving Japanese Americans to internment camps was important in order to protect Americans. Many of the Japanese Americans had never even been to Japan. Most had to sell their belongings or businesses, leave their homes, and take whatever they could carry with them. The internment camps were surrounded by barbed wire. It was cold in the winter and hot in the summer. The food was not very good and served army style. The Japanese tried to make the best of the situation. They built schools, churches, post offices, and other buildings in order to keep their life as normal as possible. The last camp closed in 1946. When they were allowed to return home, most had to start their lives all over again as their homes, jobs, and businesses were gone. Not a single Japanese American was ever convicted of being a spy during World War II. In the year 1988, Congress signed the Civil Liberties Act and apologized for the grave injustice committed during World War II. Every survivor of the internment camps received a payment of $20,000 and a letter of apology signed by the president. So this video is not cooperating right now. Maybe you can try it later, but we will watch this one.
Japan attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, prompting America to enter World War II. The war heightened racist attitudes and anti-Japanese sentiment grew. Many suspected their Japanese American neighbors might be spies or saboteurs. The military pressured President Roosevelt to take action. On February 19,